Amiga, welcome to another episode on the podcast. My name is Laura. I am so excited you're here. And today we are talking about boundaries. Because a lot of the times people think boundaries are just things that you raise with your partner, with your friends. There's also inner boundaries. And I want to show you how boundaries are not just a wall that we pull up, and say, no, I'm not doing this anymore. But how boundaries can actually foster deeper connections and also communication. It's a real invitation for you to go deeper with yourself and your relationships. And we all want better relationships, right? Let's go. Boundaries. Lots of the time when I meet new people in my world and they're saying, I'm such a people pleaser, Laura. I struggle to really say no to people. This is really scary. This is not just something they say, that's really something they feel in their gut. And if you are a people pleaser or you feel like subconsciously you could be, always trying to make sure other people are happy around you and you're the one who comes last and you don't really mind because you're so easygoing, this is for you, okay? People think that putting up boundaries and saying no is very, very egotistical. The ego is too big. I have a bunch of clients who, when they come in obviously, think that if they were to say no to their people won't like them anymore. Because people really would think they're so egotistical. They just think about themselves. They're so self-absorbed. That's the biggest fear. 1, being judged by others. 2, then not being liked anymore. 3, losing everyone, being alone. And this is the baseline fear our human body has, is being alone, because we are not made to be alone. We are humans. We need to be in tribes. We need to be in community. That's why it's so hard for people to just say no to others if they feel like they have people-pleasing tendencies. I'm going to tell you right now, first of all, first little nugget for today is if you are a people pleaser, listen to me, you will never ever be an egotistical person. You will never ever start bulldozing over your friends and your family and just say, whatever, fuck everyone else, I'm the one who only counts. This will not happen because your tendencies to be a people pleaser are so deeply, deeply ingrained, it's not going to happen from one to the other day. So what I do usually in my work and what I'm inviting you here today is to just slowly adjust this a little bit, okay? You will not go into that worst case version you're seeing in your mind. This is not going to happen. I promise you. Yes, maybe you will be a little bit less fluffy around everyone else and you will maybe say no, and people will react and be like, oh, that's new. Laura has never said no before. Okay, I'm going to deal with that. Maybe they also will act on it and say, oh, that's not okay. But you will learn how to hold this if you're allowing yourself to put up boundaries and see them as invitations. I'm going to give you a few examples. Let's talk about outside boundaries first. What do I mean with outside boundaries? Outside boundaries are boundaries or ideas you want to communicate with people in your life, not just with yourself, but with everyone else. A really good example of why boundaries in my outside life were really great is, again, out of my relationship. At the beginning of our relationship, I always thought that in order to be liked and to be seen as a normal, happy couple, we would always have to show up at the events together. We would have to go to family events. I would have to go to his friends' events. He would have to be at my friends' events. And that led to a bit of friction because he just didn't enjoy it all the time, right? And I also, to be honest, didn't enjoy it. And that's fine because we come from 2 different lives. We're trying to merge them into one and still have 2 different separate ones, but merge it into one. And then, of course, they're not going to always want to be on your event or you're the other way around. I don't want to hang out when he's gaming with his mates. Like, who the fuck cares? And he's like, I'm not going to hang out with you when you do your spiritual delulu stuff with your girls. And that's fine. But in the beginning, I didn't realize that. I really thought we would have to be at every event together in order to be a normal couple. And it happened in the beginning when he then put up his boundaries saying, you know what, no, what, Laura, I actually don't feel like it. That I felt this heat rising up. This heat of, it was fear. I was like, oh my God. I'm going to go to an event by myself and they're all going to ask me like, where is he and what's happening? And I was like, okay. And then I have to say, oh, he just didn't want to come, or what am I going to say? Am I going to be honest, or am I just going to make something up? Big inhale, big exhale. This is the fear that came up. And I then went to those events because I'm not at the beginning, I tried to force him. I was like, you should come, I would make him a bad conscience, be like, you really should be there. It's really not cool for us as a relationship not to do it. But I realized once he was there, he didn't really enjoy himself, and me the other way around. So I always felt guilty when he was there, and he felt guilty when I was there, and it was not fun for either of us. So when I started going to the events for myself, at the beginning, of course, you think, at least that's your perception, maybe it also happens, is that you get a few funny side eyes of people like, where is she alone? Where is the other part of hers? And that's the point, the other part. I am whole by myself. And this is the first thing I owned in that one. I can go to events with other couples and I'm sweet. Of course I miss my partner because I would love for them to experience that too. But if they are not willing to do that, I'm the last one to force that. Vice versa, I didn't have to go to all of his events anymore. Sometimes we still have that argument because I really want him to come to some things and it's important to me, but I think it's the way of communicating, and that's the second thing. Now that we put up these boundaries of him saying like, you know what, I actually want some time for myself, or me being like, you know what, I really don't feel this one, and we're accepting the other person for it, we are so much happier to come to each other's events when the other person is really asking, hey, it would be really important for me that you're coming as well, because this is an event where, I don't know, I think it would be really fun for us to have that memory together. The other person is always happy to do it. And this is the deeper connection, because, and now I'm going to quote one of my yoga teachers, it's giving and receiving love freely, not because they have to, but because you actually want to. Another example, that's a relationship example. I'm going to give you a business example, okay? One of my clients, let's call her S. She really struggled to put up boundaries with her clients. She would always take on extra work over the weekend, no problem. She would, she would work also with clients and other customers. She would also work with people that she actually didn't 100% feel aligned with, and that kind of led her a little bit into a burnout. And she realized pretty quickly in the coaching, it's a boundary issue. It's not a mindset issue. It's not her needing better structure or more time. She just literally needs to set timing and dates of, I'm working 8 to 5, I'm not working on weekends, and I'm replying to your email after like 72 hours and not after 10 minutes. And once you put that boundary down, she is now like, she's magnetic in her business, man. I even worked with her the other day because I was her client, and I was like, you're smashing it. You're just so locked in. You're so dialed into your business. You know exactly what you're doing and why you're doing it. And you know exactly who you are in that whole thing. So it invited her again for a deeper connection with herself, with her clients. I knew she's only working with me if she really aligns with me. What an amazing feeling to have. Not because she has to, but because she wants to. That made me feel valued. So me as a client, I loved that she was putting up that boundary. I love that. I adore that when people do that, because I'm like, you know yourself so well, and that's inspirational to me. Another client, an S again, she invited her partner into deeper connection and put up a boundary, because they were always doing everything together, and she realized, I actually want to do things outside of this relationship. And that was scary for him because he obviously didn't really know who he was. So when she brought that up for the first time, I was like, you know what, I actually need time for myself. He was a little bit like, oh, okay, what's happening? But that gave him the chance to actually explore what's important for him. Because so often when we are in relationships, I see that so many times, is that people just live with each other and it gets comfortable and they're just rolling and rolling and rolling, and no one's really asking themselves like, what do we actually want, and how do I want to live my life, and what values are important for me? And then when one person starts, that derails the other person sometimes. But if you can do that in a kind and boundary kind of way of like, hey, I'm going to do this because I really want to figure out who I am in our relationship, and I invite you to do that too, it gets so much deeper, because everyone will come back with ideas for themselves, which helps their own happiness, because I'm not responsible for my partner's happiness and he is not for mine. This brings really big, deep connection. And this can help you track your life into a life that you want. This can bring you more happiness, more calmness, more joy, and also a life partner who's really committed. And that's absolutely exciting. Again, deeper connection. The last one I want to bring down to today is inner boundaries, boundaries with yourself. What do I mean with this? With inner boundaries, I mean that you actually stick to your own word. Sometimes we set up boundaries for ourselves, standards we might also call them, where we say, okay, I am going to meditate every morning. I am going to the gym now 3 times a week. I'm going to drink 2 liters of water. I am going to work 5 hours a day. I'm going to call my friends. I'm going to book a massage from me every month. And we do that for like maybe a week, maybe 2, and then we drop the energy ball. 2 reasons. 1, maybe those standards, those boundaries you set within inside of you that were important for you are actually not yours, and you just pulled them from other people because you think they're normal. You know, hot girl walks, Pilates, drinking matcha. By the way, I love matcha. But it's because you have them on your list because you think this is what the wellness boxes I have to tick to feel a certain way, to look like an Instagram girl. That's one thing. So check the boundaries you're setting. Again, is it something you really feel, or is it something that you just pull out from somewhere because it looks cute? Second, it could also be because you are pushing yourself into an uncomfortable position. Growth is uncomfortable. I always call it growing pains, right? It's friction. It's like you're getting bigger. Something is happening here inside of you. But because it gets uncomfortable, your whole nervous system, biggest goal of the nervous system is to keep you safe and smooth and easy. If it feels uncomfortable, it's not easy. So your system's going to be like, that sucks, let's stop it. And you're not going to feel it anymore. You are feeling like, oh, done it 2 weeks, it doesn't really work. Or you kind of forget out of a sudden, or you just put so much other stuff on your timeline that you don't have time anymore. You're dropping the energy ball because your system wants to keep you safe and small and everything that works. This is also the reason, by the way, why you are not achieving your goals, although you talked about them for the last 3 years. It's because you're keeping yourself small. That's hard love, but that's what it is. And sometimes we need to keep ourselves small for a while. If you have like a very unregulated nervous system, maybe you need to take it easy. We're not always rushing forward, right? But what happens if you set those boundaries inside of yourself and you don't stick to them because you're dropping the energy ball because you don't feel it anymore, is that you hurt your self-trust. And that is really difficult because we want to keep our self-trust. We want to be our biggest fans. We want to really center in ourselves and feel like grounded and I can do anything I want. But if we pull out those boundaries and we don't hold them up, we hurt our self-trust. So again here, check in with yourself when you drop the energy ball. Okay, what is happening here right now? Why is that scary for me? Is it because if I keep going like this, I could potentially be successful? Is it because if I keep going like this, maybe I actually find a relationship that I really, really love? Is it because if I keep going like this, my body will actually change and I will feel different? And then maybe people won't like me anymore? See how it can go down again? So the fears play a big part. Invitation to deeper connection to yourself. Listen inside of yourself. Go into a little bit of an adventure. Dig inside of you. Be like, what is it that makes me drop that energy ball? Why is it so hard to keep my boundaries up? And it's beautiful because you will learn so much about yourself and you will get to know yourself so much more, and you will actually make decisions that align with you and not with Laura or the coach over there or this person on Instagram over there. And this is what we want. If you feel like this is scary, or if you feel like, Laura, I've tried this so many times and I know exactly when I'm dropping the energy ball and I also know why, and I still don't know how to stick with it, and consistency is an issue, and I dream of all these bigger things, and I know that I'm meant for more, and I know that I hold myself small in a dating game, or I'm not allowing myself to get all those things, or I feel so overwhelmed, but I know where I should go. Join me in Self-Belonging. Self-Belonging is a 6-week program that will do exactly that little adventure inside of yourself, inviting you for bigger connection, and we will not just figure out where it comes from, but we will actually change it. There's so much somatic in there, so much body work, so much feeling, breathing, nervous system expansions, energetic work, that you will go out of that program in 6 weeks and be like, bitch, that's me. And I know exactly who I want to be. I know what I need as standards in my life. I know what my boundaries are, and I can hold them to myself so I can trust in myself. So I can go into a room scan the vibe and be like, yep, that's mine, or no, that's not mine, and go again, and not feel like I have to stay. So I can say no to my clients if I'm already overworked and I realize actually I need to take a break. So I can say no to people who don't align with me. So I can go on that date that I feel like is so scary because this person is definitely out of my league. This is what self-belonging is for. And this is not going to be a lot of talking and just chatting. This is going to be real work. So 6 weeks of you, and we're diving deep. There's going to be homework. There's going to be check-ins. We're going to have a community group. I'm going to be in there, high proximity. And if you feel like you were waiting to work with me in a closed container, but you didn't really want to go into one-on-ones, or it just wasn't aligning, or I don't know, the budget was not there, this is your chance. Jump in with me, have a look into self-belonging. And if you feel there's questions, please reach out. You know me, I'm so excited to connect to you, and I would love to hear from you. Also, if this opens something up for you here right now, that whole episode, I would love to know from you what kind of boundaries you struggle to hold, or what you learned out of this. What is your biggest takeaway? Because I deeply trust that everything will land when it's right. Sometimes I listen to podcast episodes myself. I'm like, I didn't hear that last time. That is so good. So tell me, what landed for you? And I'll speak to you next time. Next time, we will be talking about how to start building self-trust, because I think this is really important. Sometimes we think confidence is the part that brings us self-trust. It's not confidence. Confidence is a side product. Let's talk about how to build self-trust. See you next time.